What if the reason so many seniors feel tired, disconnected, and older than they should has nothing to do with age itself, but everything to do with a few invisible habits quietly repeating in their daily lives? Habits so common they feel normal, so familiar they feel harmless, and so accepted that no one ever warns you about them until years have already slipped away. Because here's a question most people over 60 have never truly asked themselves: am I aging naturally? Or am I unknowingly training my body to shut down faster than it needs to? And that question matters more than any supplement, any medication, or any medical test. Because the human body does not suddenly get old. It responds to patterns, signals, and expectations over time. And the first habit that steals lifespan from more seniors than almost anything else is the habit of postponing life itself. The quiet belief that important things can always wait, that joy can be delayed, that movement can happen tomorrow, that travel can happen next year, that connection can happen when things calm down. And this habit feels responsible, mature, and cautious. But biologically, it sends a devastating message to the brain. There is no urgency to stay strong, alert, or adaptable. And when the brain receives that message repeatedly, it slowly begins reallocating resources away from repair, energy, and resilience. Muscles weaken not from age, but from disuse. Balance fades because it's no longer demanded. Curiosity dulls because it's no longer rewarded. And suddenly, the world feels smaller, not because it is, but because the body and mind have been trained to expect less. And the tragedy is that many seniors don't realize this is happening until they feel trapped inside routines that no longer serve them. And the second habit is emotional isolation disguised as independence. A habit that grows quietly after retirement, after children move away, after social circles shrink, when saying "I'm fine" becomes easier than admitting loneliness. And while independence sounds strong, the human nervous system does not interpret long-term isolation as strength. It interprets it as threat, triggering low-grade stress responses that raise inflammation, disrupt sleep, weaken immunity, and accelerate memory decline. And this isn't about needing constant company or becoming dependent on others. It's about the biological requirement for meaningful interaction, even brief moments of being seen, heard, and valued. Because when seniors stop sharing their thoughts, stories, and laughter, the brain slowly stops prioritizing clarity and emotional regulation. And over time, this leads to a deep sense of fatigue that many mistakenly blame on aging, when in reality, it's the exhaustion of being emotionally undernourished. And the third habit is misunderstanding movement, treating it as optional, painful, or embarrassing rather than essential and adaptive. Because many seniors believe that if they can't exercise the way they did in their youth, then it's not worth doing at all. But the body after 60 doesn't need extreme workouts. It needs frequent reminders that it is still required to function. Gentle walking that maintains circulation. Simple balance challenges that protect against falls. Light resistance that preserves independence. Stretching that keeps joints fluid. And when movement disappears from daily life, systems begin shutting down one by one. Digestion slows, sleep becomes fragmented, blood sugar regulation weakens, and the body enters a conservation mode that feels like aging, but is actually underuse. And the fourth habit, the most dangerous of all, is daily exposure to fear-based thinking, whether through non-stop negative news, alarming health stories, financial anxiety, or social narratives that portray aging as decline rather than evolution. Because the brain believes what it repeatedly consumes. And when seniors are constantly reminded of what could go wrong, the stress response becomes chronic. Cortisol remains elevated, healing slows, memory suffers, and motivation quietly disappears. And this creates a self-fulfilling cycle where the body behaves exactly the way it has been trained to expect. Now here is the truth that rarely gets said out loud. None of these habits are obvious, dramatic, or intentionally harmful. They don't feel like self-destruction. They feel like normal life, and that is why they are so powerful. Because what feels normal rarely gets questioned. Yet the human body is remarkably responsive. Even later in life, when given new signals. And longevity is not about fighting age. It's about working with biology instead of against it. Sending daily messages that life is still engaging, still demanding, still meaningful. And the most important realization seniors can have is this: change does not require motivation. It requires interruption. Interrupting the habit of delay with one small action today. Interrupting isolation with one genuine interaction. Interrupting inactivity with 10 minutes of movement. Interrupting fear with curiosity, learning, or planning something to look forward to. Because the body doesn't measure effort, it measures consistency. And when these small interruptions become patterns, energy returns, clarity improves, sleep deepens, confidence grows, and life begins expanding again instead of shrinking. And the simple suggestion I want you to carry with you from this moment forward is this: do not try to fix everything at once. Choose one habit that resonated uncomfortably, the one that made you pause, and gently reverse it this week. Not perfectly, not aggressively, just intentionally. Because every time you choose engagement over delay, connection over withdrawal, movement over stillness, and hope over fear, you are not just adding days to your life. You are reminding your body why it should keep fighting to stay alive.